outside of this being mandatory and that being optional, if you're still going to show up, what was the difference? Now, we know we could do hold ends where you don't participate, and I think that that's what Ayuk is doing.
Okay.
So if that is the case, shout out to him. I'm not covering it like that, but it's like, yo, we know that that's been more of the new wave. Dudes will show up and just not participate. But for Cam right now, we haven't heard about him even coming back just yet. So that's why I'm saying once it's the mandatory part, we'll see even in that vein, you know what I mean, just how both of these situations parallel a little bit.
Myron Bennett's predicting a Cam Holden. Just
Holden?
like TJ
Okay.
and Minka.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Cam's a smart guy. That's probably the way to do it.
I hope so. I just never thought that I would see Cam get to this point. It's like, yo, this Cam. It don't even feel right being down there and no Cam there. It's Cam. Why he's still an active player too, not retired. Like, he's active. It just feels like you're missing something.
Now, from what I hear, from a work standpoint, he might be getting better workouts on his own anyway. But I do think there is something to being around the squad, being a leader, that camaraderie and stuff.
Yeah, so if we're, and just to clarify the difference, right? In the sense of him working out, in the sense of like conditioning, skill development, stuff like that, I think conditioning wise, he can get better work on his own, but skill development, you can't get that without playing football. And that's kind of what we joke about when we see these wide receivers on the cone hitting 30 different stutters, cuts, drop back, this and that, spin this way, catch the football, then take off. And you're like, all right, that looks great. But now it's time to actually play. Can you apply this? Can you do these things and do them versus an actual opponent? So that's the only reason why I'm just like, I do think that in terms of his condition and stuff, that's going to be better than the work that you get with the team, because of the team. They got, 90 heads they got to worry about. Everybody's not elite athlete condition, and not everybody is, super lazy, out of shape either. So you kind of have to have a general plan for all of that. Whereas as an individual like Cam, I worked out with Cam. I know how he is. You got your own stuff. You got your training specialized for you. So that part, yes. And if you look at him, anybody that's seen him recently, he looks good. He looks the part. But in the sense of, man, you playing these techniques, you A gap, B gap, you playing the double team, you filling this pool, you getting your eyes back inside, that type of stuff, yeah, you're not getting that without actually playing. And that's what we always say, like, yo, dude, you got to play it to stay current and stay consistently good at it. And that's why when dudes sit out or miss time, it's like, man, you don't know what that's going to look like. And we've seen both ways of dudes that come back after a drop or a layoff and look good, and we've seen some dudes that don't look as hot. And that's the part where it's like with Cam, you just, all right, just be cognizant of that, because this is your first time where you're taking this approach.
TJ's holding.
Mm-hmm. He was here.
Pull something. Well, yeah, he did the holding and everything, but I remember you were
the hammies and hip flexors.
Yeah, it might have been the groin or something too. But like,
we had the groin pandemic. That was the Ben beating Josh Allen the game we went to.
Yeah,
because that was when he held out, got the check.
And TJ balled out early on, and then it was like week 3 or week 4.
And Melvin Ingram took over, had way more opportunity. But then when TJ came back, that's when Melvin got upset and got the trade, because he thought his snaps were going to get cut.
But TJ had he ended up having a good season, but it was a weird season
because he had the soft tissue that he dealt with the whole year.
Yeah, he'd be like up and down a little bit. Right. There'd be a game where he'd just go off for like 3 or 4 sacks,
and it made the numbers on
another
average
game
look
or
good.
2. He'd disappear. Like I remember Packers game, like I think he was credited with a couple sacks, but I was like, where was TJ?
We both said the same thing. We were like, bro, we didn't feel any of this impact, but the numbers looked good.
And then who else? I guess Minka Holden. He signed early on though.
Yeah.
I think we had him for all of training
TJ's was the longest one. But his was also the biggest and most robust. Yeah. And at the time, it was historic for Steelers in the sense of, when we're about to pay a 9 quarterback, we typically don't pay them dudes this type of money. But TJ's lived up to it. Because remember that we had the whole argument, man, would you keep him for 30? He's like, for 30? That was the argument.
Yeah. Ultimately, I said, yes, I would do it because you're just going to have to, because he's the best edge rusher in the league. But I don't know what that's going to look like 2, 3, 4 years down the road when you're paying an edge rusher this portion of the salary cap, because it was unprecedented for
we had never seen that here.
Anyone on defense, for the Steelers to be paying anyone on defense that percentage of the salary cap, and that's even going back to like James Harrison and Troy Polamalu. So I was just intrigued, and he has outplayed the contract. Actually, he very much proved me wrong. Very much, because I think we got him at a discount with how he's played.
I would agree.